If you've ever laid next to the person you love and still felt completely alone, then you already understand the kind of silence I'm talking about. Before this story goes any further, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment if anything I say feels familiar, because I promise, you're not the only one living this quiet storm. I'm a married woman. I've been married long enough that our days run on autopilot. We wake up, we work, we eat, we sleep. On the outside, it looks stable, safe. But inside our bedroom, inside my chest, something has been slowly fading. We talk about bills, schedules, groceries, but not about us. Not about feelings. Not about loneliness. I started feeling invisible, like I could disappear and nothing would change. That's when the scary thoughts began creeping in. Not about cheating, not exactly. Just this frightening idea that maybe love could exist in more than one place. Maybe there was something broken in me for even wondering that. I was terrified of those thoughts. Terrified of what they meant about me, about my marriage, about the woman I was becoming. And yet, I couldn't make them go away. At night, when my husband fell asleep beside me, I would lie there staring at the ceiling, listening to his steady breathing while my mind refused to rest. I wanted to reach for him, but I didn't even know what I was reaching for anymore. Comfort, attention, proof that I still mattered. Sometimes I would whisper his name just to hear my own voice break the silence, but he'd already be lost in sleep. It made me feel foolish, like I was asking for something that didn't exist between us anymore. I hated myself for the thoughts that followed. What if someone else could see me? What if someone else could hear me? I wasn't dreaming about bodies or sex. I was craving to be understood, to be wanted emotionally. One evening, I tried to talk to him. I said, "Do you ever feel like we're just roommates now?" He didn't look up from his phone. "You're overthinking again," he replied. That one sentence hurt more than 1,000 arguments, because it told me my feelings didn't fit into his world anymore. And in that quiet rejection, the idea of an open marriage, something I never believed in, started to feel less like a fantasy and more like a desperate question. I carried that question around like a secret I was ashamed of. In the grocery store, at work, even while sitting across from my husband at dinner, I felt like I was hiding something terrible inside me. A good wife wasn't supposed to think like this. A loyal woman didn't imagine other emotional connections. But the emptiness was louder than my guilt. We would sit in silence, forks clinking against plates, and I would want to scream, "Do you still see me? Do you still love me?" Instead, I just smiled and asked if he wanted more rice. One night, he finally noticed my distance. "You've been weird lately," he said. "Maybe I'm just tired," I lied. The truth was, I was exhausted from pretending I was okay. I was scared of becoming someone I didn't recognize. I was scared that wanting more meant I didn't appreciate what I had. The thought of an open marriage felt dangerous, almost sinful, but it also felt like the only way to breathe in a room that was slowly running out of air. I wasn't sure if I wanted freedom or if I just wanted to stop feeling so painfully alone. Every argument we had seemed to circle the same empty space. I'd say, "I feel disconnected," and he'd respond, "I'm doing my best." But his best still left me feeling invisible. Late at night, I'd replay our conversations in my head, wondering if I was asking for too much. Maybe marriage was supposed to be quiet. Maybe love was supposed to be this dull, comfortable thing. But why did it feel so heavy in my chest? I started blaming myself. Maybe I wasn't exciting enough. Maybe I wasn't grateful enough. The shame of those thoughts wrapped around me like a tight blanket I couldn't escape. One evening, I almost told him everything. I almost said, "I've been thinking about an open marriage," but the words got stuck in my throat. I imagined his face, the disappointment, the judgment. I imagined losing the last bit of respect he still had for me. So I stayed silent, and that silence became its own kind of betrayal. I wasn't cheating on him with another person, but I was cheating on the truth of who I was becoming. And that scared me more than anything. The more I kept it inside, the heavier it became. I'd watch couples on TV laughing, touching, actually listening to each other, and I'd feel the sharp ache behind my ribs. I didn't want perfection. I just wanted to feel chosen again. My husband noticed my tears one night. "Why are you crying?" he asked, confused. "I don't know," I said, because I didn't know how to explain the storm inside me. How do you tell someone you love that you're drowning right next to them? The idea of an open marriage kept floating back, not as a solution, but as a question. What if I didn't have to give up this marriage to feel alive again? That thought both comforted and horrified me. I worried about what people would think. My family, our friends, society. A wife is supposed to be loyal, patient, forgiving. There was no space for someone who felt this lost. So I smiled. I cooked. I cleaned. I played the role. But inside, I was quietly breaking, wondering how long I could keep pretending before something inside me finally snapped. Our home started to feel like a place I visited, not a place I lived. We shared the same couch, the same bed, but emotionally we were worlds apart. I'd reach for his hand, and he'd be too busy. I'd share a thought, and he'd nod without really listening. One night I whispered, "Do you still love me?" "Of course," he said, but his eyes never left the TV. That was when I realized love without presence feels empty. I wasn't looking for another man. I was looking for connection. For someone to see the parts of me that had gone unnoticed for so long. And the guilt of wanting that while still married made me feel like I was betraying him just by breathing. I imagined telling him about an open marriage and losing everything. I imagined not telling him and losing myself. Both options terrified me. So I stayed stuck in the middle, trapped between who I was and who I was expected to be, waiting for something, anything, to change. By the time winter came, I felt emotionally burned out. Every day felt heavier than the last. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just tired. Tired of hoping. Tired of waiting. Tired of pretending I was okay. I looked at myself in the mirror one morning and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked smaller, quieter, like she had slowly folded herself into something easier to ignore. I realized something terrifying. This marriage, the way it was now, was slowly breaking me. Not because of cruelty, but because of neglect. Because of all the words left unsaid. I was afraid of losing my husband. Afraid of losing my identity as a good wife. Afraid that if I admitted what I was feeling, everything would fall apart. But I was also afraid of staying exactly where I was. I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I just knew that the woman I was becoming in silence was not someone I could live with forever. One quiet evening, I finally sat alone in our bedroom and let myself be honest. Not with him, just with me. I admitted that I was lonely, that I was craving connection, that I was scared I was slowly disappearing inside this marriage. The idea of suggesting an open marriage came back, stronger than before. Not as a thrill, but as a risk. A dangerous, fragile possibility that could either destroy us or force us to finally face the truth. I practiced the words in my head. I need more. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to survive. My hands were shaking when he walked into the room. I didn't say anything yet. I just looked at him, wondering if this conversation would be the beginning of the end or the beginning of something honest. There was no excitement in me. Only fear. Only hope. Only the heavy weight of knowing that whatever I said next could change everything. When I finally spoke, my voice was barely steady. I've been feeling really lonely, I told him. Not just bored. Lonely. He looked surprised, then defensive. I'm here, aren't I? I tried to explain, stumbling over my words, how I felt unseen, unheard. I didn't even say open marriage at first. I just said, I don't know how to fix what's broken between us. There were long pauses, awkward silences. He didn't understand me, and I didn't know how to make him. Eventually, the idea came out. Quietly, carefully, like a fragile thing. He didn't explode, but he didn't smile either. He looked hurt, confused. We didn't reach any big agreement that night. Just more questions, more tension. But for the first time in a long time, we were actually talking. It was messy, painful, but also real. Nothing magically got better after that conversation. We didn't suddenly become closer, and we didn't open our marriage overnight. What did change was something quieter but deeper. We stopped pretending everything was fine. We started going to counseling. We started having real conversations, even when they were uncomfortable. The idea of an open marriage is still there, like a door we haven't opened yet. But now, it's something we talk about instead of something I carry alone. I learned that wanting more doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. But hiding those wants, burying them under guilt and fear, can slowly destroy you. My marriage isn't perfect. It may never be, but it's more honest than it used to be. And sometimes, honesty is the only thing that can save love. If this story felt close to your heart, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. You never know who might be reading, quietly feeling just as alone as I once did.